Welcome to another BlackJack Dave video and moving forward your journey to being a better BlackJack player and AP player. I am BlackJack Dave and I love to play Blackjack, talking about Blackjack and sharing the correct way to play Blackjack with others. Today's video is another video in the sample series BlackJack School 101. Thanks for watching. Alright, welcome to another video. And this is my fourth video on BlackJack School 101 Basic Strategy. We're going to take a deeper dive into basic strategy in the next three videos. This one, we're going to take a deeper dive into splitting. And we're going to review a little and add a little information. Normally speaking, to learn something new, you have to hear it three different times. So some of this material will be your third time hearing it, some will be your second time, and some will be the first time. But let's just review what is basic strategy. The basic strategy is a set of rules that tells you the optimal way to play every hand dealt to you when the only information you have is your hand and the dealer's up card. This does not mean you're going to win every hand. You're just playing the hand the best way possible to win, and eventually, based on your level of play, reduce your losses or actually win money long term. Basic strategy is the mathematically correct way to play every hand because over time it will maximize the amount of money you will win and minimize the amount of money you will lose. Just knowing basic strategy, you are not a winning player. Basic strategy just lowers the house edge and lets you lose less while you're enjoying and playing the game of blackjack. You will lose less. You will lose money. All you do is basic strategy. The reason that the game of blackjack is subject to mathematical analysis is because it is inherently a mathematical game. That is, blackjack has a fixed set of rules. Splitting. That's one of the basic strategy charts that we learned. And a little review here. When it comes to splitting, pairs in blackjack, most players are in a fog because most players don't have basic strategy memorized to a T. They either never split, or they always split, or in the worst case, they regularly split pairs with no rhyme or reason. Once you know basic strategy, and you go out there in that casino, you will see all kinds of crazy stuff. This is unfortunate because pair splitting was introduced into the game as a way for players to reduce the casino's advantage. But in reality, an option meant to help the players has turned out to be a money maker for the casino. Yeah, because players see ability to split when they get. Remember, when you split, you generally have two of the same car. So you have two twos, two threes, two fives, two nines, and you split. Players generally don't split when they should, and they split when they should not. Every time I observe a recreational player splitting tens, which is an awful play, unless you're a card counter, I visualize a big casino cash register going cha-ching. But it doesn't have to be like this. In fact, by the time you finish with this course, you will learn when and why to split pairs so you can use this option efficiently to win more money when you play blackjack. So let's review exactly what is splitting. The casino rules for splitting are pretty straightforward. When you're dealt two cards of the same value, so in this case we have a pair of twos, excuse me, you may split them into two separate hands, as the picture shows on the right. For example, if you bet $5, you can play the hand as a four and draw additional cards, or you split the twos into two hands. Here you activate the pair splitting option by placing another equal bet next to the original bet on the layout. A lot of people don't split because now you're betting double your money. So instead of betting $5, you're betting 10. That's why it's important to don't bet too high on your minimum bet. You activate the pair splitting by placing there. You go bet next to the original bet on the layout. If your original bet was $5, then you place their red chip on the layout. Do not place your chips on top of the original wager. Simply place it adjacent to the original bet. By doing this, you're assuming the dealer that you want to split your twos. Play two hands. You also might want to take your fingers in a splitting motion and click them on the table. You've seen this in plenty of videos. One hand has the filer bet and contains a two. Ditto for the second hand. You must play out your first hand, which is the hand to your right, in 4 minutes to play out the second hand. All right, here's an example of how to split when you're sitting at that blackjack table at the casino. Notice there is no dealer up card because I don't care. The only thing I want to review here is the proper way to signal a split to the dealer, then how to play the split out. So I'm given pairs of sixes. I'm going to take my stack of chips, either put them right adjacent to, or maybe a little farther away, and then show the two fingers. Now my two fingers will actually be on this side, but I can't run over. So two fingers here, but they're actually on this side. The dealer will then come over, move the chips a little bit, and then move the cards. Never touch the cards. Then I'm giving an 8. I'm going to tell him to hit. And I'm giving that's 16. I'm going to hit again. And I bust it. So the dealer would take the cards, then the chips. He might take the chips first, then the cards, but takes everything away. Then he's going to make you an 8. You're going to say hit. That's a good hand, so you stay, and hopefully you won the hand, or at least half the hand. Now, that is a good review on how to split when you're at the casino table. All right, now into the more deeper dive of this video of basic strategy. So we're going to look at why you should split at a more deeper strategy level. But why should you split? Well, 3 main reasons. You will win more money on average. That's what I call a bold move. And we'll have an example of each of these moves following in the following slides. You will lose less money on average. That's a defensive move. And you'll turn a losing hand into a winning hand, an offense move, and I'm sure would be everyone's favorite move. So let's take a look to see what I'm talking about. A bold move. A bold move means you're already the favored to win money on a hand, but if you split, you will win even more money. Well, who doesn't like that idea, right? For example, suppose you're dealt a pair of 9s against a dealer 6 up card in a 6-stack blah blah game, and resplits are allowed. By standing, you can expect to win 64% of the hands and lose 36%. Pretty good. Again, that's by standing. So there's great odds. Why would you split? Well, let's see. Because you're bold. If you split instead, percentage of hands that you will win decreases slightly to 60%. So winning 64%, standing 64%, splitting 60%. Because it's a little less because you're better off starting with an 18, 2 9s, against a dealer 6 than starting with a single 9. Even though your winning percentage decreases when you split, how can you win more? Because you have to take in consideration that you doubled your bet when you split. So you win a little less often, but you make more profit when you do. So more money. Who doesn't like that? Defensive move. Very important in the game of blackjack. Conserve your bankroll. The defensive pair splitting strategy of betting more to cut your losses is confusing to players. All they remember is getting a weak pair, splitting them because the book says so, and then losing both bets. What they don't realize is that even though you will lose money over a long haul when you split pairs defensively, you will win. You will lose even more money on the hand if you don't split. Take the example of a pair of sevens against a dealer two. A 14, you'll agree, is a lousy hand. If you stand, you can expect to win 30% of the time. Suppose instead you split those sevens. You start each hand with a 7, which is slightly better than a 14 against the dealer 2, but you're still the underdog, even with the 7. You can expect to win 40%, 45% of the hands and lose 55%. So you lose less often when you split. Very important defensive moves. Very important. Offensive move. Offensive pair splitting is often the most satisfying kind of splitting because you turn a losing hand into a winning one. And who doesn't like that? I mean, who doesn't like to win when they only have 12 or 13 out there? I mean, this is not an example of offensive move, but it's the idea of winning on a losing hand. We all love that. Suppose you're dealt a pair of sevens and the dealer has a 6-up card and you stand. A 14 is not a very good hand, even against the dealer's 6-up card. You will win on average 42% of the hands when the dealer busts and lose 58%. By pair splitting, you start with a 7 on each hand, which is a stronger starting point than the 14. Therefore, when you split, you will win 52% of the hands and lose 48. Okay, it's time for our easy quiz. Next video will be a more difficult quiz about basic strategy. You should be going through your flashcards and that sample practice site. I will give that link to that practice site at the end of the video. But let's get started here. You have a pair of 10s and the other has a 7. What should you do? By that I mean should you hit, split, double, or stand? You have a 9 and a 4 for 13, and dealer has a 10. What should you do? You have a 9 and a 6, and dealer has a 4. What should you do? Okay, round 2. You have 8 and an 8, and dealer has a 7. What should you do? You have a 6 and a 4, and the dealer has a 5. What should you do? You have ace and an ace. The dealer has a 6. What should you do? And finally, you have an 8 and a 3 for an 11. And the dealer has a 6. What should you do? Okay, round 3 and also the final round. You have a 10-7. The dealer has a 4. What do you do? All right, you have an 8 and a 5. The dealer has a 3. What do you do? And our last one, you have an ace-5. The dealer has a 3. What should you do?
Well, this is the end of this video. I want to say thanks for watching. Next, we will review and deep dive into when and why you should double. Thanks for watching, and please look out or subscribe so you know when future videos will be published. And to the next video, generate EV and hope every hand dealt your way is a blackjack. And below is the link to a basic strategy trainer. It's pretty good. Check it out. It's explained much more in detail in video 2 of BlackJack 101. Again, thanks for watching.